Listen, all I know is things are getting hot with that CPT action, and things are getting hot on Twitter like it always happens. So we're here to maybe not settle the debate, but we're here to provide some, objective pointers, some objective evidence, and discuss one of the most controversial mechanics in Street Fighter 6 right now. That's what we're going to do today. So we're going to talk about, of course, the ever-present, the always mashing in your block string, the hoping to nail Honda headbutt with it. We're talking about Perfect Parry in Street Fighter 6. So yeah, a lot of people are debating this mechanic, and people have some pretty interesting opinions regarding it. But listen, we see you guys, we understand.
Yeah.
But why don't we break down for the people how Parry is operating, how Perfect Parry is operating, and how you can use it and maybe defend against it and stop people from mashing it a little bit on you and, up your own Street Fighter 6 game.
Yeah, somebody on Twitter, so it's been a big topic going on with everybody, all the pro players and stuff. There's different opinions. You know how we do FGC regular stuff. But there's somebody who showed, imagine E Honda with no parry. If you just take parry out the game, then E Honda just automatically goes to
skyrockets to number one.
Like that. Yeah, maybe top one in the game, just snatching all your drive gauge.
That's true.
But so it's interesting because if Perfect Parry was to change too much, it's so integral to how the game is designed that the domino effect it's tough to calculate what the domino effect of that would really entail.
I think it's good to point out, we're not game designers. That's why at the end of the day, I like to just talk about the mechanics and how to exploit them to the fullest of your ability and how to defend against them to the fullest of your ability. Because at the end of the day, Capcom, hey, what's going on, guys? You guys make the choice for us.
Yeah.
So we have to figure out how to manipulate the system to the best of our ability. And I think that's when you put on your competitive player hat. There's the Twitter and game design, sitting around the water cooler discussing things, you put on that hat, but when it comes down to sit in the lab and when you go to the tournament, you got to put on your competitive player hat and do the best you can with what's in front of you. So Parry,
that's facts.
Perfect Parry is kind of a subset of Parry, but I feel like Parry you got to talk about it a little bit. Parry, first of all, is a block button. I think that's what some people miss with the mechanic entirely, is that Parry is a block button that dodges left, right, high, low. You don't have to guard in any direction. It's simply a block button that has some recovery, and also if you absorb attacks, you block attacks with it, it builds up your drive meter rather than decreasing. So, why would you not just hold the block button 24/7? The reason is because it has some recovery on it, right? If you press parry and then you try to let go and try to move right away, there's 20-something frames where you can't move there, and if your opponent sees you flash blue trying to guess parry something, they can walk up and throw you and get that punish counter throw. So there is some downside to just tapping parry or holding parry on defense all the time. But if you tap parry with a really precise timing when someone jumps at you, does a block string, or does a full screen headbutt, you get Perfect Parry. And Perfect Parry is good because they can turn the tides in a moment's notice.
And it's 2 frames. So Perfect Parry, you have to be within a small 2-frame window. That's why it's called perfect. You got to be pretty much exactly on time. And at that point, it slows down time, and you're able to punish the what I call it, recovery.
Yeah, the recovery of another move.
You get to punish the recovery of
it basically
your opponent's
cancels
move.
The recovery of their move on you, and you get to punish them back.
Yeah, so now, you get to move first, and it's also a punish counter. Now, to balance this out, what Capcom did was they made it so that the damage scaling is huge. What's the exact percentage?
I think it's 50%. It starts at 50% damage scaling.
It was more than that sometimes.
Oh yeah, it's huge.
Yeah, so generally speaking, people don't even go for full combos after you perfect parry someone. You'll typically go for screen positioning instead. You'll almost never see anyone use drive
or drive meter. Drive meter is a big one, right? So especially a character, some characters good at that, like JP, right? They perfect parry something. They have certain routes where they can just burn off half your bar. People will do if they perfect parry something where they can get a heavy punch. They'll do heavy punch to drive impact, and just that takes a punish counter, and then the drive impact takes another. Suddenly, they spend 1 bar and they take away 2. So people will go for positioning, like you said. You perfect parry a random jab on wake up, and you're in the corner. Nice little back throw. Oh, surprise! You thought it was your turn. It's my turn suddenly. And you take a bar away from them. So yeah, it's not necessarily the damage unless they're close to death range with the level 3 or something. It's about the drive meter and especially positioning and momentum. And that's where people get a little bit oh, what's going on here?
Hey man, imagine there's no parry.
I'm in the corner.
There's no parry. You got to play against Honda. You got to play against JP. You got to play against Guile. With no parry. no parry.
I don't want to imagine this world.
No parry against Guile is crazy. Like,
I don't want to imagine this world.
You know, so yeah, it's so as far as the way that we actually use it, you know, stuff that you guys should be doing. Of course, when you're on your wake up, it's like it's like having a DP to in a way, pretty much like a DP with a button. Like, so if you think your opponent's is gonna do a meaty on your wake up, you could wake up with a DP to punish that. But the thing is, now since you have parry, you know, a DP is actually a lot more risky by far than waking up with a parry. If you wake up DP and they block that, or you wake up EX on amnesia or whatever EX wake up move you do, you're gonna eat a whole lot of damage if they bait it out. If they bait out your parry, if they do go for a throw, you're gonna get hit with 200. Is it 200 damage or 20%?
2,000, yeah, the new units. I believe it's around those numbers. I don't have the exact numbers memorized.
But it's something like that. But it's a high damage throw.
Listen, that punish counter throw, that's a chunk of damage. Like,
and drive gauge.
And an extra, they lose more than a bar of drive gauge, right? They waste a little bit on the parry, so. and then so it's like a bar and a half. You waste the 1/2 bar on the initial parry, and then the punish counter throw. So I think that's fairly significant if they bait out your parry attempt on a wake up. It's not insignificant to eat that punish counter throw.
It makes it so that I remember Street Fighter 5, people talk, ironically, it's interesting how these conversations are kind of like a merry-go-round to some degree, because in Street Fighter 5, remember there was like there was not enough defensive options. But then now and trust me, this is how it goes, bro. I know, bro. This is how it goes in fighting games, man. It's tough it's impossible, I would even say.
This is why you should just study the blade. Listen, everything else is noise.
Yeah.
Learn the game. That's my advice to anybody.
Yeah. And you know, and to give people credit, I will say, even if people have whatever opinions, a lot of people voicing their opinions are winning. They're cooking within the system. Results are extremely consistent. We seeing the same people making these top 8s and winning, making top at Evo and Gamers 8 and all these events, CPTs. But yeah, man, in the end of the day, I feel like as far as the way to use parry, one thing I don't agree with, what do you think about parrying against jump-ins? I don't like that. I don't ever do that. I never parry somebody's jump-in.
I never do it, but honestly, I do think that is a really, it's kind of funny because I do think when I see someone parrying my jump in, my instant thought is, this guy is weak to jump ins. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like my instant thought is like, this is a crutch, and then I'm going to expose you for it. So listen, I think there is a time and a place where it's very smart to try to parry jump ins, and that is situations where you literally cannot anti-air, or they bait out your button on the ground, they go for a tight cross-up angle that you're not going to be able to jump back air to air. That is a time to try to time your parry to get that perfect parry. They're trying to side swap with you, because at that point, you already lost the positioning battle, right? Like, you're like, okay, you already distracted me enough on the ground where you're for sure getting over my head. Now, either you're going to go for a cross-up button right here, and if I get the perfect parry, if I get lucky, it's kind of like a luck thing. Like, if I time this right and get a little lucky, I can get the back throw and put you back in the corner. Or you're 500 IQ, and then you just empty jump, bait my parry attempt, and throw me. And at that point, at least we're playing some mind games here, right?
Yes.
That, to me, is a good time to risk a parry. So remember, it is a risk. However, if you are the type of player who has a crouching fierce punch that anti-airs, a medium punch that anti-airs, a special move, a DP, you have all these options that are guaranteed damage and guaranteed anti-air options, and then you always do parry as an anti-air. Look, I respect the fact that you can perfect parry every jump in, but the moment you parry one of my jump ins, I just empty jump throw you every time.
Yep.
I literally start playing Super Mario. I'm just holding up forward. I don't care anymore, because every time it's going to be a free 2,000 damage punish counter throw. So yeah, it's kind of a crutch for some players, but I will say, yes, you should use it sometimes, but for sure not every time. And if players are perfect parrying your jump ins over and over, you might be impressed at first, but then recognize the pattern. Wait a minute. They do this like every time. Let me throw
on their wake up too against against save jumps. Like, of course, DJ. Every time DJ toss you in the corner or does anything to you in the corner, he gets his save jump off, and people like to go for their parry on wake up. So of course, just the same thing. Sometimes I'll just go for the empty jump, get my quick throw in. But implementing that parry yourself is important. It's good because you are adding to the mind game that your opponent has to play. Street Fighter 6 is a game about active defense, not passive. So you definitely should be throwing your parries into the mix.
What about parrying and block strings. Now, this is the one where I think a lot of players get a little, they have controversial opinions in. So, like, I mean, we have some tight block strings in this game. Some characters, you know, they drive rush in, they get enhanced plus frames that enhances their block strings. Some characters have plus on block normals that they can string into each other regardless, right? Should you be tapping parry between them?
Why not?
Definitely.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I do for sure.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. For certain characters, Jury has some of the best block strings in the game, and at some point I was like, you know what? I'm gonna learn this character. I went to training mode and I just recorded Jury's block strings, and I was like, I'm gonna learn the rhythm to these block strings and just start playing I'm playing a rhythm game suddenly. Medium, medium, medium. Each one of those mediums, I'm pressing parry, and if I'm on that 2-frame timing, we get that blue screen. I'll back throw you to the corner or do some gnarly setup. You know, who knows? Get the party started. Sometimes you need to have perfect parry to stop people from autopiloting their offense, right? I think that's super powerful against some characters. Some characters have gnarly offense otherwise.
Fascinating, bro, because like I said, we didn't have that. It's like when you was playing against my Karen, I'm a crouch medium punch, and walk a little bit, crouch medium punch, still light kick, all that type of stuff. Whereas now we got parry that actually exists with it, and it's just fascinating, the idea of like how the conversation has like
it's changed. But on the other side of the coin, right? If you're like, man, this dude keeps parrying my offense, you have options. You can stop doing your block string.
We have one option.
You have multiple options. I disagree. Multiple options.
Okay, hold on. Let me hear it.
You get someone in the corner. You get your block string going. Stagger your pressure. See that they flash blue. Walk up, throw. Punish, counter, throw. Bada bing, bada boom. Get their drive meter. Big damage. They're in the corner. Stagger your block string. Drive impact. That is a free wall splat. That you are locked out of counter DI when you're in recovery from a parry. You can commit to that option too. You can time it so that if you are guessing that they're going to tap parry to go for perfect parry, you can get that option. If they hold parry, worst comes to worst, they absorb your DI. It's not even punishable,
and they're plus, but
they're plus, but that's it, right?
They can't do anything.
And the risk reward, if they tap attempting a perfect parry, you get a full combo, right? So there's other options, and I still think we're still evolving. Another option that I've seen a lot of players implement that I haven't done myself is they jump. They see you tap parry and then they jump in because you're locked out of doing any moves, especially if a character without like a DP or something like that, an invincible anti-air. Suddenly they're forced to hold a safe jump, and then they can't parry again. They're in parry lockout. They eat drive meter damage from a new block string starting from a jump in.
Yeah.
Like say someone's parrying your face, and then you walk up to them while they're parrying. Instead of going for the throw, just hold up forward. Just hold up, and then get a jump in. They're forced to block
and they're still recovering, so they can't just.
They can block, but can't
that's all
do
they
a
can
move,
do, though. Yeah, they can't.
And they're going to eat more drive meter damage. They wasted drive meter holding parry, and now they're holding more block string. So I think the wheel of options to counter parry are still evolving as we speak. And I think high level players are slowly starting to incorporate like this DI on people parrying a bit more, and the things like the jumping I just mentioned. So there is counterplay. I think we're still evolving on it, but yeah, there's no denying though that just guessing with a parry is very good.
It's
absolutely, because if you land that back throw could be round ending.
The whatever our counterplay that we've developed so far, the reward, like, it's not gonna make me not wake up parry. So I'm a parry anyway.
You absolutely have to use
the risk reward. The risk reward is great. But yeah, man, obviously we have seen. I think it's an interesting topic since everybody's bringing it up and everything. We are just keeping our. I know these ain't the ideal type of combos with Brian with the whole Twitter stuff and everything, bro. But it's just it's what people are talking about. So we break it down a little bit and hopefully give some clarity for players coming up and everything for how they should use the mechanic. But Brian is 100% right, man. You know the game. Adapt, figure it out, and of course get your W's, and that's what we have been seeing from the most consistent players in the world up to this point.